Hi guys, and welcome to another amazing episode at Food Banter with Sophia. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that is really dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about the Iron Chefs. How the concept of Iron Chef started about. When was the very first ever Iron Chef show that was done, where it was done, and all the um juice that you need to know about Iron Chef. What it even entails to become an Iron Chef, because I know a lot of people around Africa, Nigeria to be precise, do not necessarily know what it is to be called an Iron Chef. Like, when you hear me talk about my goal and what is that I want to become, a lot of people are like, a friend sort of like asked me, like, what does it actually really take to become an Iron Chef? And I'm like, that's a pretty interesting question. Like, in this part of the world, people do not know what or who an Iron Chef is, or the origin, or how the whole foundation of Iron Chef came about. So today's episode is really dear to my heart, because that's my number one goal, to become the first ever Iron Chef from Nigeria. Like, Iron Chefs are like from around the world, but there have never been one that is from Nigeria. And that's what I want to become, the first ever Iron Chef to be from Nigeria. Anyways, so let's dive into today's episode. But before we dive into today's episode, have you subscribed? No. Yes, I know you have not subscribed. But if you have not subscribed, please go and subscribe, hit that like button, turn on your post notification to see this beautiful girl on your screen. I remain your host, Sophia the First. So let's go, let's get jigging, let's get bantering, let's start talking. Right, so let's dive into the episode proper, right? But before we even talk about, the whole show Iron Chef, right? What it's about, the kitchen stadium, what it entails, right? Who is an Iron Chef? Like, what makes you an Iron Chef? Like, what do you have to do as a chef before you're crowned an Iron Chef, right? It's pretty much, it's not an easy task, if we're being honest, right? Because you have to be like an expert in your field as a chef, right? You have to be innovative, you have to be creative, you have to have won, like, several um culinary shows. You have to have like three Michelin star in like your restaurant before you are considered an Iron Chef. You have to be very well known, like an expert. You know, you need to have like a signature dish. You cannot be called an Iron Chef without like a signature dish. Like, every Iron Chef in the world has a signature dish that they are known for. It's sort of like, it's like that dish that brings you to the word, that's like you like that you use for like your introduction to the word, like your signature dish, that whenever they have that meal, they know that it is from you. So that's what distinguish every Iron Chef, like the Japanese Iron Chef, the American Iron Chef, the UK Iron Chef, the Mexican Iron Chef. Like, every country that has an Iron Chef, like, they have their own signature dish. And yes, they can be more than one Iron Chef from a country. So for you to become an Iron Chef, like, you need to be like an expert, you need to have like your own main dish, you need to have like a Michelin star, right? You need to be creative and innovative with your cuisine. Like, it's an amazing peak for you to reach as a chef, because you're known, you're renowned, you're a renowned chef that's, every every chef is looking up to. Like, it's the peak of being a chef, if you ask me. So that's like my goal, to become the first ever Iron Chef from Nigeria. About breaking barriers, like, yeah, we're breaking barriers. We're gonna have like um an Iron Chef from Nigeria. I don't care how long it's going to take, but we're on a journey and we're going to get there. So Iron Chefs, they're often featured in cooking shows, television shows, high profile events where they're showcasing their talents in various cookings, challenges and battles. But where did this whole Iron Chef originate from? Like, where did it start from? It started from the Japanese, right? It wasn't called Iron Chef, but it's more or less like the English version of what it was called. I can't pronounce what it was called, but it was called like a different name, because again, it was from Japanese. These are the people that introduced, that title called Iron Chef. So like the first ever Iron Chef show aired in 1990s, right? That was when they had like the first ever Iron Chef episode, right? Where you know Iron Chef then were competing against other chefs, pretty much good chefs, also people that are really well known in their field, people that are trying to become Iron Chef, because there's always new Iron Chefs that are joining the Iron Chef family, the Iron Chef circle. So over time, the concept of Iron Chef has expanded beyond the original TV show, right? You now have like elite chef, you have Iron Legend. They demonstrate exceptional talent and creativity in the culinary world, right? Iron chefs, they also have the ability to create innovative and delicious dishes, that pushes boundaries of traditional cooking techniques. Like they are known for their exceptional use of gastronomy in cooking, right? Like you have to be really creative. Like you have to think beyond the norms. You have to think beyond the regular rice and stew. You have to think beyond the, just the plain and regular dish. You have to be innovative. You have to be creative. Like it's not just about the food, also it's also about storytelling, like how that food transcends into you as a person, right? What stories it has to tell, because your food has to tell a story as an Iron Chef. Like it's beyond you being creative, it's beyond you being innovative, right? But for you to be able to have your signature dish, right, it has to come from somewhere, and it has to be something that is you know, that is you. Something that tells your journey as a chef, something that tells your story as a human being. So you want to be able to use your food to tell your story, right? And the whole essence of why as an Iron Chef you are creative, right? You're innovative, right? It's pretty much fascinating when you are in a show where um there's a secret ingredient that you're expected to cook with. Like sometimes you're expected to make carrots like the star of the dish. Like you're making like 5 meals, and carrots is supposed to be in every meal. Like it could be as simple as carrots, chili, beef, fish. Like it's the style of the dish, and you're expected to use it to make 5 dishes, 5 different dishes that are delicious and amazing. Like, and you are thinking on your feet. So for you to be able to make chili or carrots into 5 different dishes, like that shows exceptional talents, and it's pretty amazing. We're going to be um showing clips of how in kitchen stadiums, seeing people battle with Iron Chefs and see how amazing it is, like how fascinating it is that you're giving one ingredient and then you're asked to prepare it in 1 hour. You're preparing 5 dishes in 1 hour, and you're so just to crown it all up, right? As an Iron Chef, or to be an Iron Chef, you have to be a culinary master who has earned respect and admiration for your contribution into the world of gastronomy, right? So we're going to be talking about different Iron Chef in the world, right? There are different Iron Chefs like in different countries. There's Iron Chef Japanese, there's Iron Chef France, there's Iron Chef Mexico, there's Iron Chef Italy, right? But on this episode, we're going to be dwelling on Iron Chef Japanese, Iron Chef French, and the last one, Iron Chef Italian, right? We're going to be talking about, each show in each country has its own style, like tailored to its own country cuisine, right? So we're going to be educating us about how the Japanese, how their own show is about. We're also going to pick one chef from each of these countries and talk about their biography and how they've contributed to the world of gastronomy, and what actually made them to become an Iron Chef. What is their signature dish? So let's dive right into it, right? So from Japanese, Iron Chef Japanese, right? We all know that this is where it originated from, or if you do not know, right, this is where the whole idea of Iron Chef originated from. It is called Rohi no Teshujin in Japanese. I probably sure I'm not at that, right? But that is what it's called, and then that is what it was called before it was translated into English. Iron Chef, right? Like I said, right, Iron Chef has evolved into different um countries and how they um do the entire show called Iron Chef, but in Japanese it still has um that original taste to it, that original fling with it, right? It aired in the 1993s to 1999 for that period of time, right? In It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much it's the same across different countries in terms of how they battle. So iron chefs are battling against regular chefs, right? They're using a special ingredient. It might be anything. It can be carrots, it can be spice, it can be spice, it can be curry, it can be pepper, it can be anything. That's how crazy and interesting it is. Like watching iron chefs or um being in kitchen stadium as a chef, that would be like one of the most amazing moments that you can ever have in your life, because you're thinking on your feet. It shows, like, it shows your creativity, it shows how innovative you are as a chef, and it also tells um who you are as a person and as a chef, and how your journey has how you've grown as a chef. So in Iron Chef Japanese, right, the cooking style is pretty much traditional Japanese cuisine, right? They include sushi, sashimi, and tempura, right? And other, culinary specialties that are from Japanese, right? A notable Iron Chef, right? Hirokushi. Oops. I'm I'm sure that's not how it's called, right? Hero Soki Saki, right? And Mara Mara Masaharu Moro Morimoto. I'm sorry. These guys are my legend, and it's really hard for me to pronounce their name. Okay, I'm gonna try again. Right. Masa Masaharu Morimoto's, right? That's one iron chef that's from Japanese. We have Hirosuke. Hirosuke was one of the guest chefs from one of the last episode for 2023 Iron Chef Search for Iron Legend, right? He was a guest there, right? And we have Roko Roko Saburo Nichaba, among the most famous iron chefs that are from Japanese. I'm sorry, chefs, like that I murdered your name. I'm really, really sorry, right? I'm going to take it upon myself to practice and learn your name. So we have Morimoto's, we have Mishaba, and we have Hirosuke. So that's without their surnames, right? So moving on from the iron chefs from Japanese, we have iron chefs from France, right? Iron Chef France is a spin-off of the original Iron Chef from Japanese, right? It's like I said, it features battles of iron chefs that are from France now, right? Because again, every country has their own iron chef. So iron chefs from France against chefs that are in France in the cooking stadium. So this aired in the first ever episode of Iron Chef France, aired in 2008, right? And the style is pretty much, emphasis on the classic French cuisine techniques such as sauteing, roasting, braising, and baking, as well as the use of fresh ingredients and the flavor profile, right? So, like I said, every country has its own iron chef, and it would more or less be like a disservice when you're trying to mimic another country's way of life or their food, because food is way of life, right? So, and that would drill down to what you cook. So for the French people, right, it goes back to their, the way they make their food, sauteing, um roasting, baking, braising, like how the techniques they use in making their food. That's more or less like how that's the style of iron chef in France, right? And the French people are very big on flavor profile in their food, so that also shows in Kitchen Stadium in Iron Chef French. Some noticeable Iron Chefs from French. We have Terry Mac, right? We have Francois Pig, and we have um Da Rose, right? I think I would say that I tried with these names, right? Well, I will still, learn these names more and more and more. So there are lots of Iron Chefs, but there is none in Nigeria. Can you imagine? Like, there is none in Nigeria. And you Nigerians, we're really proud people. Imagine us having an Iron Chef that is from Nigeria. Anyways, that's what I'm here to do, right? To become the first ever Iron Chef in Nigeria. So I'm really, 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 really passionate about becoming an Iron Chef. I have like my idols, people that I look up to, that I want to, follow in their footsteps as an Iron Chef, right? If you're just joining, so that's the goal. Then we have Iron Chef Italian, right? Again, it's a spin-off of the original Iron Chef that features, Iron Chefs from Italy, um, battling against regular chefs in Kitchen Stadium. The first ever episode was aired in 2013, right? The style of Iron Chef Italian is more or less like showing the Italian heritage, their pasta dishes, risottos, their pizzas, their pasta, and how their specialties from various Italian regions, how it has been incorporated into the dishes that they cook. Bearing in mind that all these dishes in in any episode of an Iron Chef, any Iron Chef episode, there is always going to be something that is going to disturb the dish, right? It could be onion, it could be shallots, it could be spring onion, it could be lamb, it could be pigeon, it could be anything, and you're expected to cook something, like cook 5 meals, take them through a journey. And that's just like, it just blows my mind. Like, you see these chefs thinking on their feet, like, because this is something that they've been doing for a very, very long time. Like, they have like 1,000,001 meals. A lot of them have written cookbooks. They have like their own cooking shows. They have restaurants. Like, you need to have like a restaurant, because like it's like what you live and breathe, right? For you to be able to whip up 5 meals in 1 hour using one particular secret ingredient as the star of all your dishes. Like, it has to be really pronounced in all your dishes. So some noticeable chefs that are from Italy, right, that are Italians, are Iron Chef Antonio, Iron Chef Alessandro Borghese, and David Scabin, right? I don't know if I murdered this name, but I think I tried with those names. Sure. I think we've touched all the chefs that we have on today. We've talked about Iron Chef. Who is an Iron Chef, right? What it takes to become an Iron Chef, and different Iron Chefs in the world, right? Particularly Japanese, Italian, American, and French, right? And some of their notable and their renowned Iron Chef, their biography, and some of their achievements. Like, it's been a really amazing episode for me, because just talking about Iron chefs in general, see how much they have achieved, is really something that I can't get enough of. Like, I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about this every day, and I don't get tired. And I hope that this episode was as interesting and as amazing for you as it is for me, because I've learned a lot. I'm still going to learn more. And yeah, So if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notification, like, comment, if there are iron chefs that I haven't talked about that you know of, please comment down below. On the next episode, right, we're going to be talking about other iron chefs in Nigeria. We're going to do like a kitchen stadium glimpse and showing different things from kitchen stadium and how these iron chefs, like how they work under pressure, so that you see firsthand, like, it's not easy peasy. Anyways, until next time, as Food Banter with Sophia, I remain your ever loving host. Let's keep stirring conversations and serving moments as Food Banter with Sophia. Bye. Mwah.